Welcome to It's Not Over, where we talk about rebuilding, reclaiming your power, and rewriting this next chapter of your life. So excited. Today's episode is a crash course on dating after divorce, modern dating after divorce. So we are going to talk about the apps, the swipes, the right, the left, the pictures, the messages, the dick pics, the what to do, what not to do, the how to dress, to where to meet, as a coffee, as a dinner. And we're gonna have some laughs in between folks. So I wanna introduce my friend Mindy Brandies. She is a divorce diva, a dating diva, and she is a grandmother. Freaking grandmother, sexy grandmother. So Mindy is a super sleuth when it comes to online dating and deciphering and decoding things. So I wanted you guys to learn all of the tricks she told me. So by the end of the episode, you're gonna have a box of stuff to take with you. So, hi Mindy.
Hi, Julie.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell me about you, Mindy. You have 15 seconds.
Okay, so going off of what you said, I don't really think of myself as a super sleuth dater, but I did have my fair share following my divorce, and I had some good times and bad times and ended up with the great love.
Okay, was there online dating after your divorce? Was that the way people were meeting? Because I know when we got married,
It's much greater now.
what was it then? It was probably one or two.
I think it was
J-date,
JD.
right?
Yeah, was the first and only one I knew of.
Okay, was there any else?
Probably, but I wasn't aware.
Okay, was that how you started dating after your first divorce? Was online?
Yeah,
What about setups?
tons of setups. I tried it all.
Okay,
I never said no to any opportunity to meet somebody, not because I necessarily needed to be with somebody, but I really wanted to be with somebody.
yeah, no, of course. I always talk about you love yourself and do this, but it's kind of nice to have someone to do things with if it's the right person.
Say if it's the right
If it's
person.
the right person.
That's how I became a super sleuth.
You are
Because I never found the right.
I can't wait to tell everybody. So why do you think, if you're hearing it, not hearing it, I am, people are saying I'm off the sites, that's it, I'm done. They are, maybe you're not hearing it as much as me, but when I talk about it, because I met my boyfriend online, they're done. They're tired of them. They're like taking a break.
Yeah, I think it can be a frustrating process. It's when people say it's like a full-time job, it really is. You have to devote time and energy and effort to it, and some people don't have the time, energy, and effort, and other people just get bored with it, I suppose.
How many hours would you say you have spent looking at men on the apps? Hours. Days.
Well, you and I spent a lot of time.
Yes, we did.
For fun. I think being a woman online, I didn't really have to look. I just would respond to what would come in more so than me having to do the looking. So a lot. I would wake up to it. I would go to sleep to it. I would, on my lunch break, look at it. You know, it's like you got mail, right? You get a message, you check it out. 9 out of 10 get deleted, but it's still, you have to take the effort to delete as much as you do to read.
It's like a fun little swipey game.
I never found it a chore. I never found it a hassle. It was always kind of interesting to me.
You never got tired of it and said, that's it?
Yeah, if I would get tired,
You did.
change out.
I know you did.
Yeah, I would go to a different app and see if there was anything new on there.
Okay, so what are the apps now that you suggest or you use or?
I liked Hinge. That was my favorite. I liked Bumble.
What about the one that you could see the videos of people and they would take videos of themselves? There was one like that. There is one. We used to put it on the TV and watch the videos.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's Facebook dating.
Oh, I hated that.
What?
I didn't like that. The only reason I like that is because you had the comparison of people in comments. You could like ask about them. It wasn't a total shot in the dark, but I never met anybody on there.
Well, we've talked about this, and this is one of the things that you share, is you always try to FaceTime someone. So
You never
see
meet
them.
anybody without
No.
some kind of verification, whether it be a FaceTime or a confirmation that they're real.
Has it ever happened where you asked to FaceTime and they haven't?
No.
Was it ever not the real person you
Yes. That was much more common, yes.
We used to have a friend that used to say, oh, have the guy do like a peace sign.
A
So you knew it
specific,
was
send me a selfie with a specific pose so that they knew that it was live right then and there.
that is something solid.
I never did that, but I do think that's ingenious.
It's smart.
It is smart.
I wish I knew that earlier.
Who doesn't have a picture though of themselves at some point?
Well, the guys are kissing a fish, like a big one, but they're a fancy car, and we don't know if it's theirs. There's the same pictures that show up. What do you think are, if you need to put up 4 or 5 pictures that you need to do, women should put up? Should it be funny?
I think it should show a little bit of personality,
Okay.
but very much who you are. Not if you put up all made up pictures and you show up looking natural, they're gonna say put up a fake picture of men and women.
Right.
I think it should be your everyday, who you are, natural, comfortable self in those pictures, not with 20 friends, right? You would say, well, which one is?
I would say he's got a cute friend.
Right. Yes. We often like the breast more. But yeah, it needs to be the person in their natural element, right? What they look like, who they are. And if they like to kiss fish, that's important too. Well, not for us, it wasn't our people, but there are people who like to go deep sea fishing and might click on that guy with the fish. Okay, or the cat.
No cats.
I know, we better be cat. Our standards, Jules.
Oh, I do not want to go with the cat. Okay, so why do you think, for some women, we know for you, you're super confident? When they go on dates, it happens often, they come home and it really affects their confidence.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I think there's very desperate people, there's very confident people, and there's right in between, right? And confidence is sexy. We wouldn't want a man who was insecure. So a woman that's insecure, and I think people get caught up in the interaction of having that, somebody talking to them. But my attitude was always, they're talking to 30 other people, right? I never took anything to heart. I never took anything personally, because you got to weed through to get to the one that only wants to speak to you, or you only want to speak to them.
Right.
And that's where the effort comes in. That's where the people like I know who are currently dating online, they're like, I'm done. He didn't talk to me for 2 days. Like, because he's talking to other people. But if your conversation is better, he'll circle back around.
Yeah.
It's just that you got to be patient.
There is a book, it's called How to Not Die Alone. Someone from Facebook wrote it, and it's talking about the parameters. I want to ask you about that in a second. Like, be open to your height or your distance, or just click anyone, because you just never know who you're going to meet. I think a lot of times women are so specific and they could be missing out on something awesome.
Could be. I think I was pretty specific. My sister-in-law, who lives in California, used to say, you should open up to the Northeast. You should open up to the Pacific Northwest. I said, and then what? Have a long-distance relationship? So for me, the short mile parameter was important. But I agree. If somebody's willing to relocate, or, people can move or work anywhere, then why not? For me, I wasn't leaving South Florida, and my parameters were pretty tight.
Okay, well, I know you have a thing with the height.
All women typically do.
Right. Has it been an issue on any dates, your height for a guy? It was one guy, right, that said you were too tall.
One person said I was too tall, and he was taller than me, so I'm sure it was something else. But a lot of the shorter men, right, were like telling me not to care. If I don't care, why do you care? But I do, and I'm entitled.
What's the first thing you notice on a first date?
How somebody treats waiters and waitresses and bartenders and other people around them. It's very indicative of who they are as a person. I've actually walked out on a date because of the way they treated a bartender.
Do you think women have unrealistic expectations when they go to meet someone?
It depends on the realistic expectations that were set in the conversation leading up to the date, which should happen.
Now, do you do or suggest people do coffee, dinner? How do you decide?
You know, I think it's up to the person. I actually feel bad for men who are taking woman after woman after woman out, paying for all these dates. A lot of them don't amount to anything. So I think a coffee date is a nice way to start. 9 out of 10 times, if somebody asked me out, they'd say, let's meet for an appetizer. It always turned into dinner and drinks.
Yeah.
If the conversation was going well. But I think I think it's unfair to expect anyone to pay. I've been on dates where if I didn't like the person, I paid for myself and I said, you know, it was really nice to meet you, but this is not a match. I'm not going to waste anybody's time, and I didn't want my time wasted.
Okay, and the parameters are, going back to that, people are so specific. You ended up with someone, you have an amazing boyfriend, never been married, no kids, which for a lot of women
Red
was a
flag.
big,
Yeah, they were flags to me. I didn't think that having a large family, my 3 children are grown now, I didn't think that somebody who hadn't had children would be able to relate to that type of dynamic. I was wrong. So yes, we can be wrong in our expectations. Having never been married, well, that was also something that I thought, how could you reach our age and have not been married? But look, I was divorced. So I chose incorrectly. He was more selective. So I just changed my thinking on that. And they became really shiny green flags.
he probably saved himself a first divorce. Really?
He wasn't a relationship. And yeah, he was in lots of long-term relationships that would have ended up in divorce.
Okay, what are 3 things that should be in everyone's profile for a man, for a woman? What should you include?
I think you need to include your true age, your true height, and your true desires and wants. Not desires in that regard, but what you're looking for. You know, if you only want to make a friend and have a buddy to go out with, state that. If you're looking for a long-term relationship, be honest about that, because everybody wants something different. So I feel, at least that's what I feel is important.
And I think as women, we try to change people. Men are very transparent. I want this, I want that. Some men are just looking to hook up. Some men are looking to share their wife with you, or that wife, that is wife.
Yeah, and you know what? I commended him for being honest. He barked up the wrong tree. But good for him, trying to get what he was looking for, what they were looking for. And meanwhile, I took a hard pass on that one.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me, you have too many, so the show is not 5 hours. We are going to talk about your funniest dating story.
Oh God, Julie.
There's a few.
There's a lot.
We keep saying you should write a book.
I could most
I
definitely
think you could. I
write a book.
think your brain forgets it because that's just the way.
Yeah, no, mine doesn't. I was trying to decide what to draw. I have to say my funniest, which also happened to be my worst date experience, was this guy. It was our 3rd date. It wasn't a first date. He had come into my home, had to pick me up for a date because at that point I had trusted him to see where I lived.
Like a golfer? I think that's how we refer to dates. A golfer, a guy with a bad.
There was always
the guy with the short hand.
Yeah, no, this was the unplugger.
Penny loafer.
Yes, this was the unplugger.
Yeah.
He walked in and said, "Oh, this is bad, and this is bad," and blew out my candles.
In your home?
In my home, and unplugged my Glade scents, and told me I could not wear perfume. And I had to not keep any of those plugged in, and I couldn't light candles, and I told him to get the hell out. We were done.
Did you not see that coming when you were on your first 2 dates?
No.
And then I think he said something about the mucus.
Oh, yeah. Mucus. Yes, we could not touch each other's mucus membranes, and I wasn't even sure where those were. But he had already lost me at the plugins.
So did you ask him to leave?
Yes, I actually did it in a very not nice way.
Okay.
I told him to, get the F out.
Did he try to see you again?
Yes.
They always come back. They literally always come back for you.
Yeah, no, which is your challenge, I guess.
Years later, they'll come back for you.
Yeah.
Doing something right.
Huh?
You must be doing something right.
I guess so.
Okay. So what is your dating anthem? I know that's a hard one. Sorry.
What do you mean by anthem?
Like you're a saying you go to, or a song you think of, or something that gets you happy or psyched.
Anything country, rock, 70s. But my anthem, as far as all the ones that didn't work out, was another one. But to just, yeah, yeah. But I never, again, when one door closes, 10 open.
That's a really good way to think about it.
Yeah,
You
just
just got to
the way you
keep
can think
going.
about it.
You just got to keep going. All right. What is comfort food you go to?
Tequila.
Dun, 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 dun. That's not food.
Tequila and chips and salsa?
Okay.
Can I stick with one nationality?
Just one chip.
What?
Okay. What if your divorce was a movie title? I know.
Okay.
Come on.
If my divorce was a movie title, what was that movie with Michael Douglas? Fatal Attraction?
Oh, with the bunny?
Yeah.
They bake the bunny, put the bunny on it. So
maybe Wall Street. I don't know. Fatal Attraction's a little.
Fatal Attraction.
That's a little scary.
You know, you have never had someone burn a bunny.
No.
Oh.
I don't know. That's a hard one. I don't know if there's one specific.
Well, try to circle back because I'm going to make you think of it. Okay. What is advice, your daughter's getting married, that you would give to her to help nourish a healthy marriage and healthy relationship?
So the same rule applies for me and my sons. I told them all they have to go through 4 seasons. They cannot decide that they have met their person until they've gone through 12 months.
Yeah.
All 4 seasons. You have to go through every holiday, see how your families mesh. I wanted them to go through birthdays and holidays and weekends and months and vacations, and it literally takes 4 seasons to really know somebody.
And you have a super close family. So family to you, I know, is you guys do so many things together.
A lot. Everything.
I can't believe she's getting married.
Me either.
Okay, so here we are. Tell me about your relationship now, where you met, how it's going.
We actually met on Hinge.
Okay.
And as you pointed out, he did not meet my parameters, so to speak. He had children, he wasn't married.
Right.
But he was super cute, and his personality came through in his photos. He was engaging right out the gate. Banter never stopped. Our first date was incredible.
Yeah.
And it just kept going from there.
Now, he's amazing.
He's pretty amazing.
How long was he on dating sites?
He had been broken up from his last relationship about 10 months.
Okay.
So long enough to be ready. He had sworn it off also. In fact, I was outside of his parameter of his mile radius.
Oh.
And somehow we got through because we were not really supposed to be based on mileage, as silly as that sounds.
No, it doesn't sound silly. Do you, and then I'm coming back to the movie one.
Okay.
I think I'm sorry.
Okay.
Do you believe in fate?
I do. I don't believe there's one love for everybody.
Okay.
I believe that you can have loved multiple people at different times in your life. Especially if you're an open, loving person. But I do believe that people do meet by faith.
Okay.
You know, I think that there's a bigger, wide world out there that is sort of guiding us
Right.
in every direction.
A lot of women's eyes are not open to it. Or they're scorned, or they're going through a divorce, or they're, like I said earlier on, they're done with the apps. I don't know, but people are not coming to knock on your door. And setups doesn't really happen that often. I think
Setups happen, but that comes with a whole other slew of, you don't want to disappoint the person that set you up, and unless it's a great match, but it never was for me.
right.
But I was open to anything. I'm just a friendly, happy person.
Yeah.
And that energy is palpable no matter where you are.
You are.
Right? You can meet somebody standing in line for a bathroom at a concert if you're open to it. But I think the biggest takeaway is if you are looking so hard because you need somebody, it's going to come out of your cores.
Right.
I think wanting to have a relationship and needing to be in one are 2 very different things.
Yeah.
And for men and women, I think it's
How you're showing up. right? How you were showing up in a relationship, with your expectations for someone else is to show up happy and nice and good and all of those things. You need to show up that way. I think women get that wrong sometimes. And a lot
Men do too.
right, but a lot of times men our age think they can have like a 30-year-old, right? Like, what? Like,
Cause in the movies they're all doing
Right,
it, right? Men are always with younger women,
right.
and then they're having children at 70. Who the hell was that?
Mm-mm.
That was it. That was another really big one for me. Is I did not want anybody with small children
Yes.
or any children at all.
Right.
But everybody's wants are different, but
Right.
need to be stated explicitly.
So being honest.
Be honest. Be honest. You can't just go by looks, because I've met the most beautiful men who were awful people, and they immediately aren't so good looking. And I've gone on dates with people that aren't head turners, that are so incredibly sweet and kind and loving that you just see them differently. To be open-minded with that too. We're not 20 anymore.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's a maturity.
Yeah.
And many of us had made that mistake before. So you're coming out of a relationship and into a new relationship different. That's his insanity, right? Not people are going to continue to get divorced and have unhealthy relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. All right. Well, any other thing you want to share? You think I forgot about the movie?
Because I still can't come up with one. You know what? It was a really great relationship until it wasn't. Is there any movie about that? Yes. What?
I don't know,
I don't know either.
but I like it. Let's do it.
It was a great. Let's write it.
Let's do it.
Let's make our own movie.
Right. Well, I've loved your help with me, and I love coming to you, and you're my first call after a date, and you're my first call before a date, and maybe we'll get into another time some of our funny stories.
Okay.
So thank you for
Would love that. You're welcome.
And thank you for joining us today. We hope you liked this crash course. We hope you learned something. If you want to make a comment, go ahead. If you want a free session with me, you can find my link in the notes. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Bye.